I may not know much, but what I do know is that if a girl can do this and this, she is a JoJo through and through. That's right. Today we're covering JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 6, Stone Ocean. One of the more controversial JoJo parts, Stone Ocean follows Jolyne Cujoh and her bizarre adventure as she attempts to break out of Green Dolphin Street Prison. So, without further ado, let's just hop right into it. The very first episode of Part 6 opens with a girl standing in the aftermath of an accident, with a man who's very much not alive on the road. We then see that girl in prison, seemingly arrested for doing that guy in, but she's not worried about that right now. What she's worried about is the fact that one of the guards saw her, well, touching herself.
I just want to die! Damn it! Damn it!
Hey!
Another inmate named Ermes Costello is roasting her for it, and the girl is super embarrassed about it, but when another inmate tries joining in on the fun, she immediately shuts her down. We then see the star-shaped birthmark on her shoulder, and that makes it clear, this ain't no ordinary girl. Her name is Jolyne Cujoh, the daughter of Jotaro Cujoh himself, and she's going to be our next JoJo. Let's freaking go. We then cut to Jolyne talking to her lawyer. Apparently, she was something of a juvenile delinquent and it's not looking too good for her. Jolyne says she's innocent, and the lawyer says he'll do everything he can to free her. He then gives her a care package Jolyne's mom sent, and one item stands out, a golden scarab. Jolyne picks it up and it pierces her finger, making her bleed. She then opens it to see two things, a picture of Jotaro and her mom, as well as a broken piece of the stand arrow. Also, we learn here that Jolyne has a very troubled relationship with her dad. I guess one of the problems of flying around the world and taking out evil stand users is that you're not home a lot. Jolyne just throws the golden scarab away. After that, Jolyne is being transferred to Green Dolphin Street Prison, and Ermes is with her. They strike up a friendship on the way there, and we have our first Josis of the part. Yeah, that didn't sound as good as I thought it would. Let's go with Joe Gal instead. I like that better. Anyway, soon enough, their transportation vehicle stops and Jolyne gets off. Ermes stays on, but as the car starts moving away from her, Jolyne hears the guards bullying Ermes and beating her up. She then sees a blue string coming out of where the scarab pierced her. The string is going into the car, so Jolyne uses it to stop the guard from beating Ermes before cutting his ear off. Damn! Also, she has no idea how she did it.
What the hell, Dad? What kind of madness did you send my way?
After that, she's talking to her lawyer again, and we see what put her in jail. Apparently, Jolyne was driving with her boyfriend Romeo when they crashed into another driver. Jolyne wanted to call an ambulance, but Romeo said the guy was already dead. He convinced her to help him hide the body, and she did it. Jolyne refuses to implicate Romeo, so her lawyer offers her a plea deal. She accepts her faults and gets paroled in a year or two. Jolyne agrees, only for the judge to ruin everything for her. The judge reveals that the guy was alive when Jolyne and Romeo threw his body in a swamp, and that's what killed him. So, he sentences Jolyne to 15 years in prison, and she can't believe it. The lawyer just says he's done everything he can and walks out. But then, he meets and hugs Romeo. The bastards were in on it together, and that means Romeo gets to walk free while Jolyne gets dragged off to jail. Damn, this guy for sure gets the trashy boyfriend award. In jail, Jolyne gets strip searched and gets her iconic mugshots taken. She then sees her lawyer leaving the jail and asks one of the guards to give him a note. As he's leaving in his car, he reads the note, which tells him he and Romeo will always regret what they've done to her. That's when Jolyne's thread chokes his neck, making him crash his car. Yeah, you guessed it. That thread is part of Jolyne's stand Stone Free. The episode then ends with us seeing something troubling. Another inmate has gotten their hands on the golden scarab Jolyne threw away. Things are about to get real bizarre. The next episode opens with Jolyne getting the laydown of the prison from the very weird Warden Lobarocco.
Here in this prison facility, we represent the ideals of our country.
Before she's eventually escorted to her cell. There, she meets her roommate Gwess, who immediately assaults Jolyne for trying to take the bottom bunk. Great intro. Jolyne then sees the golden scarab she threw with Gwess, who says she'll give it to Jolyne for $200. Jolyne then sees something odd. Gwess has a bird in her pocket, but that's not the weird part. The weird part is when two human hands come out from inside the bird and grab a cookie. The next morning, Gwess apologizes to Jolyne and lets her look at the scarab. Unfortunately, this is just a ruse, because her real objective was making Jolyne late for breakfast so there's no food left for her. Gwess then dumps perfectly fine food into the trash, and that's where Jolyne finds the picture of her parents too. Dang! Meanwhile, Gwess is training her bird to do as she says, and when it messes up, Gwess starts crushing it. Jolyne snatches it from her hands with Stonefree, replacing it with a banana, and finds out the truth. It's not a bird, it's a bird toy filled with the crushed limbs of a miniature human. Jeez! Gwess comes up the stairs and Jolyne hides, only to realize she's tiny now. This is the ability of Gwess's stand Goo Goo Dolls, which turns people mini-sized. The guy in the bird was a former prison guard, but now that he's gone, it's Jolyne's turn to be Gwess's pet. So she makes Jolyne wear a rat suit and starts training her. Gwess's goal is simple: get Jolyne to sneak into the control room and break out.
How exactly am I supposed to crawl over to it? You're such a cutie!
One problem with that: when Jolyne gets into the control room, she's out of Goo Goo Dolls' range, so she starts growing back to her normal size. Oh no! Jolyne makes a run for it so she can get back, but Goo Goo Dolls shows up and starts attacking her. She manages to make it out, but gets stuck when her size keeps increasing. Goo Goo Dolls is about to tear her to shreds when something punches it into the wall. That something is Stonefree, which we get our first good look at. And damn, it's cool as hell. She makes Gwess set her free before asking who sold her the scarab. Turns out it was Ermes, so Jolyne asks for the scarab back, but Gwess drops it on the floor and turns Jolyne small again. She then pushes Jolyne into the illegal area and brings her back to full size, making it look like she's trying to break out. The guard sounds the alarm and Jolyne is going to get caught, but Jolyne is unfazed. She brings out Stonefree, gives Gwess the Ora Ora special, and makes Gwess break her out. She even takes the bottom bunk from her too. Now that is a real JoJo move right there. The next episode starts with Jolyne waiting to make a phone call.
You gotta be new. You gotta make a reservation to use the phones here.
When a blonde inmate asks her for $1, Jolyne gives it to her, and that's when Gwess pops up. Much like other JoJo villains, a beatdown from a JoJo has stopped her evil tendencies, and she gives Jolyne some advice. She says Jolyne needs to get her $1 back ASAP, or she'll turn into a bottom feeder. So Jolyne asks the blonde for her money back. When she refuses, Jolyne laces her coffee with laxatives and goes to the bathroom. When the laxatives kick in, the blonde begs Jolyne to use the bathroom. And Jolyne agrees if she pays $10. She pays up and Jolyne shows everyone that she is no joke. But when Jolyne tries to leave the library, she sees something shocking. A kid with a baseball. He tells her that she's getting a visitor tomorrow and that she shouldn't see them. Otherwise, she'll face a fate worse than death. The kid then disappears and a guard knocks Jolyne out for holding the bars. Meanwhile, a man in the facility next door gets info on Jolyne's visitor. Who the hell is this guy? Anyway, the next day, Jolyne gets a call in for her visit, and she's ready to go thinking it's her mom. That's when the kid shows up again, this time inside a trash can, and begs her not to go.
Take this with you. Consider it a good luck charm.
When Jolyne insists, the kid gives her something to help her. A bone. What? Okay, I'm so confused right now. Jolyne walks in, but it's not her mother waiting for her. It's the Dio beater himself, Jotaro Cujoh. Jolyne is shocked, but Jotaro just gets to the point. The reason Jolyne is in prison is because she was framed by a guy named Jongali A, the weird guy from the prison next door. Jotaro explains stands before telling her about Dio. He then tells her that Jongali is one of Dio's pawns and he's getting revenge on Jotaro through Jolyne.
You didn't inherit anything specific from me, but as my daughter, you've got potential.
But Jolyne doesn't care. She says she'll keep his stand advice in mind, but she's not gonna let him act like a father now. She also tells Jotaro to never visit again and goes to leave the room, but that's when she gets shot. Jotaro uses Star Platinum to stop time, but Jolyne already saved herself with Stonefree. They both get up against the door, and Jotaro says Jongali is probably using a stand. That's when they see the stand, and Jolyne realizes it's tracking them using movements in the air. After all that, the guard who Jolyne knocked out because she was mad at Jotaro gets up and attacks Jolyne. Jotaro gets in the way, which leads to both him and the guard getting shot by Jongali. Well, that escalated quickly. The next episode opens with Jotaro explaining what's going on. Jongali's stand is telling him their location, and he's using his expert sniping skills to shoot them. With Jotaro losing blood, Jolyne decides to use Stone Free to distract the stand, and we then see Jongali in the prison next door setting up his sniper and saying he needs to get revenge on the Joestars. Meanwhile, Jolyne uses a lighter to start the sprinkler, and Jongali's stand gets confused. That's when the baseball kid tells her to escape using a secret hole in the room. The stand goes after the kid, and Jotaro says they need to escape, but Jolyne says she's not gonna abandon the kid since he's been trying to save her. With that, she breaks open the door and goes out after him.
This is a prison sign.
Good grief.
What the?
With the guards approaching, Jolyne figures out how the kid moves around so freely in the prison. Secret passages. She follows him down one, while Jotaro just time stops out of a guard's eyesight. Jolyne tracks the kid down, and Jongali's stand is right there with him. That's when she figures out how Jongali is hitting them. He fires at his own stand, which redirects the bullets at them. Jongali stops the kid in his tracks and is about to shoot him, but that's when Jolyne interferes, so Jongali shoots her instead, but misses. Turns out she broke a gas pipe, which messed with his aim. Jolyne then beats the stand to a pulp, knocking Jongali out. Aw yeah, you go girl! After that, Jolyne drops down and asks the kid to explain what the hell is going on, but he says he can't. Not yet. That's when Jotaro shows up, and Jolyne sees Jongali in the reflection of the water on the floor. So Jotaro takes him out, and they're safe now. At least that's what Jolyne thinks. She asks Jotaro about the baseball kid and the secret passage, but he doesn't know anything. However, that's when Jolyne realizes everything is melting. She's trapped inside some kind of dream. Soon after that, Jolyne wakes up in the room and sees that both she and Jotaro are covered in this weird gooey kind of acid. The acid is not only putting them to sleep, it's slowly melting them away. Luckily for Jolyne, the bone that the baseball kid gave her before she walked in cuts her hand, which makes her wake up. Everything she saw was a dream. This is what Jongali's stand really does to people.
This must be Jongali A's actual stand!
She tries waking up Jotaro, but she can barely move. So she brings out Stone Free, and the episode then ends with her trying to wake Jotaro up. In the next episode, Jotaro wakes up and Jolyne tells him to help her escape using Star Platinum. One problem with that, he never told her his stand's name. That's when he realizes he's in a dream, and that's when Jolyne finally wakes him up with Stone Free. After that, Jolyne can't seem to move, so Jotaro gets them out of the room by punching Stone Free. Hey man, desperate times call for desperate measures, I guess. Jolyne then drags Jotaro out, and they're back to normal. Meanwhile, in the visitor's room, something pops its hand out of the vent. Yikes!
That thing's more important than it looks, so don't lose it.
With guards approaching, Jotaro pulls out a map of the prison and explains their escape plan. They're breaking out through a window and getting out in a Speedwagon submarine. Along the way, Jolyne gets mad at Jotaro for being a terrible father, which he kinda has been, and they get into a fight. That's when Jotaro says someone is following them. They take cover and see one guard shoot another in the head. That guard then removes his cap to reveal it's Jongali A. He pulls his gun at Jolyne and shoots, so Jotaro stops time.
Time stop!
That's when he realizes another stand is on the wall behind him, but he has no choice. He has to save his daughter. So Jotaro does that, which leaves him open to the other stand. It swipes at his face and two discs pop out, which the stand takes away. The stand's name is Whitesnake, and that's all we know about it for now. Jolyne realizes what's happened, but it's too late. While saving her, Jotaro gets shot by Jongali's bullets too, and he's bleeding out. He tells Jolyne to get out without him, but she beats the living hell out of Jongali instead. Oh, okay, she's really cool for that. Jotaro is proud of his daughter and says something inaudible before he passes out. Jolyne realizes that Whitesnake stole her dad's stand in one disc, as well as something else in another.
Hey, Dad! Get up!
So she drags him out to the submarine. Jotaro is completely lifeless at this point. He's not even breathing. So, instead of heading back with him, she puts him on the Speedwagon submarine and heads back inside the prison. She has to find out what the hell is going on. So, she surrenders to the guards and talks to the baseball kid through her stand. The kid's name is Emporio, and he says Jolyne's efforts are in vain. Emporio's mom had her stand stolen too, and she died. But Jolyne says she knows Jotaro is alive. She just has to get his stand back. We then cut to Whitesnake, who kills Jongali with his own gun, removing the one man who knew his real identity. We then see the discs in his hand. One has Star Platinum on it, and one has a picture of Jotaro. I need a drink after that episode, sheesh. The next episode opens with Jolyne in the punishment ward, serving her punishment for trying to break out. Meanwhile, Emporio says he needs to investigate Ermes, who's passed out in the infirmary, and there's a weird sticker on her hand. Ermes wakes up and remembers what happened to her. She picked up Jolyne's golden scarab and cut her hand on it. She then sold it off before passing out later that night. That's how she ended up in the infirmary. She feels fine now and takes the sticker off her hand, only for it to show up again. She takes it off a bunch of times and it ends up there again and again. What's more, the removed stickers start duplicating every object Ermes puts them on, and when she removes the sticker, the duplicated object merges with the original in a rather explosive manner. She uses this to knock out her janitor that stole money from her, but when she tries to get her money back, she sees two discs pop out of his head. Not sure what to do, she pulls out one of the discs and the janitor just walks away. Weird. Curious, Ermes starts asking around about the janitor, but no one knows anything about him. So she goes to the bathroom to inspect the disc. Suddenly, the disc starts going in her head, and she begins seeing the janitor's memories. Other than stealing money from inmates, his memory shows something important. Whitesnake asking the janitor to help him. Ermes pulls the disc out and tosses it in the toilet, and that's when the janitor in question walks in. He's a proper weirdo who starts sprouting a bunch of self-hating nonsense, and his rant keeps escalating until he hangs himself. What? But that's not the concerning part. That's when fans grow out of Ermes' neck and she starts getting choked to death too. Now being choked to death, Ermes uses her sticker duplicating to bring the janitor down, freeing herself.
Damn it! What the hell's wrong with you?
The janitor thanks her for saving his life before immediately drowning himself. Ermes starts being drowned by water fans too, and realizes what his stand is. It's a kind of double suicide stand. Since Ermes doesn't want to sleep with the fishes, she uses her stickers to get free once again. This time, she grabs the disc with his memories and makes a run for it. That's when she runs into Emporio, who gives her the rundown on stands. He then tells her about Whitesnake and his ability. Basically, there are two discs in a person, the stand disc and the memory disc. Together, they make a person's soul. Ermes shows him the janitor's disc, but that's when cuts show up on her arm and she starts getting electrocuted. The bastard is still following her. The electrocution stops, and Ermes realizes he's gonna try to electrocute himself again, and he's going to finish the job this time. So, she leaves Emporio behind and chases the janitor to the infirmary. Ermes tries to stop him from electrocuting himself by saying anything and everything she can.
But I'll give them to you. The actual pair I'm wearing right this second.
But it doesn't work. He presses the button. Ermes barely manages to get a sticker on his head, duplicating it. When the electricity makes the sticker burn up, his double head slams back into the original and the electrocution stops. Ermes survives. Unfortunately for the janitor, he isn't so lucky and drops dead. His stand disc pops out and Ermes takes it out, while her own stand, Kiss, finally materializes. Ermes realizes what she has to do next. She needs to find Jolyne. The next episode starts with Emporio giving Jolyne the update on Ermes, as well as the discs and how they work. He then gives Jolyne the janitor's memory disc. They might find something useful on it. Meanwhile, somewhere close by, two inmates get torn to shreds by something on the prison's farm grounds. The next day, the warden says he needs 5 volunteers from the woman's prison to go look for the missing inmates. Jolyne and Ermes both volunteer and get slapped with electric bracelets. If they go 50 meters away from the main guard, their hands will blow up. Ouch! So they leave, and Jolyne catches up with Ermes. Jolyne says she saw the janitor's memory disc and found out that Whitesnake is hiding a bunch of stand discs in a tractor's tire.
What do you think you're out here for, a picnic? Cut the chit-chat and get to searching!
So, Ermes and Jolyne head over to the shed with the tractor inside and see the other inmates are already there. The guard says they're gonna switch searching areas, but Jolyne wants to swipe the discs before they go. That's when Ermes realizes something is wrong. You see, there were a total of 5 inmates when Jolyne and Ermes left the prison, but as Ermes counts them now, she realizes there are 6 of them. What? That's when their bracelets start beeping and they realize the guard is missing. They start looking for him and find his ATV in the water covered in blood. They start looking for the guard, but one of the inmates ends up outside the 50-meter radius, and the poor girl gets blown to smithereens. They then find the guard dead in the water, and Ermes is convinced one of the inmates is an enemy stand user. That's when she thinks there's something in a bucket and kicks it away. The bucket is empty, at least that's what Ermes was thinking before it dragged her underwater. Now up close, Ermes sees what's inside the bucket, a bunch of small stands merging together to form one big stand. She uses her stickers to get out for a second and tells Jolyne to make a run for it, but Jolyne starts unraveling Stone Free and chases after Ermes. Together, they use Kiss and Stone Free to fight off the stand and get back to land. There, Ermes and Jolyne corner the other 3 non-dead inmates. They're gonna find that imposter. The next episode starts with Ermes questioning the inmates about which one is the imposter, and this leads to infighting. So Jolyne starts knocking them out one by one. That's when they realize the truth. The enemy stand is already in control of every inmate except Jolyne and Ermes. It introduces itself as Foo Fighters, a series of microorganisms that is the stand user. It gives a long-ass speech about life forms evolving and other boring no one cares about. But when it's done yapping, it runs straight to the shed where the discs are hidden. That's when the creature in the water, which is also a part of Foo Fighters, starts dragging the dead guard's body away, meaning the girls would be out of range and blow up. So Jolyne goes after Foo Fighters while Ermes fights the water creature.
That's ridiculous! Why would she leave something like that up to me?
She uses Kiss to duplicate her arm and takes the creature out before carrying the guard over to the shed. Speaking of the shed, Jolyne makes it inside and finds Foo Fighters holding the tire with the discs. It's also spilling water onto the floor, giving itself more range to attack. Jolyne steps in anyway, and the fight begins. But Foo Fighters almost immediately overpowers Jolyne and is about to take over her body, until it realizes Jolyne started the tractor and the discs are getting away. Foo Fighters chases after it, but it's too far away from the water and it loses all of its power. Ermes wants to finish it off, but Jolyne stops her. She realizes that Foo Fighters doesn't care about Whitesnake. It only cares about the discs and is protecting them because the discs gave Foo Fighters the ability to think. After all, it did give that big-ass speech about life forms evolving and whatnot. Because of that, Jolyne knows Foo Fighters is not loyal to Whitesnake. So Jolyne asks Foo Fighters to keep a check on the discs for them instead, and Foo Fighters agrees. Yeah, Jolyne would make the coolest hiring manager. After that, Jolyne grabs the disc with Star Platinum on it and she's over the moon, until she realizes that she can't find Jotaro's memory disc. And Foo Fighters tells her that that's because Whitesnake was never after Star Platinum. He wanted Jotaro's memory disc all along. There must be one hell of a secret hiding in Jotaro's mind. Speaking of Foo Fighters, who I'll just call FF.
Your new friend FF? I'd like to be called that if you don't mind.
It's taken over the body of a dead inmate, and it's going to jail with them in order to protect Jolyne. Now would be a good time to explain FF's abilities. It's a freaking sentient plankton swarm that can take over dead bodies, shoot water bullets like a sniper, and patch itself and others up if they take damage, as long as it stays hydrated. But without water, Foo Fighters is practically useless. The episode ends with Whitesnake discovering the discs missing, and we finally see its user, a priest named Father Pucci. The next episode starts with an inmate named Miroshone asking Father Pucci to recommend her for parole, and Pucci says he will, before smashing her head against the table. He then puts a stand disc in her head, saying he can't let Jotaro's stand disc leave the prison. And so it begins. Meanwhile, Jolyne and Ermes are teaching FF how to throw a ball and play catch. FF starts out pretty rough, but catches on quickly. They make 86 throws in a row without dropping the ball. That's when Miroshone, the girl that Pucci met earlier, shows up with a fun game. She says she'll bet $100 they can't make it to 100 throws. Jolyne is skeptical, but she agrees to it. A girl needs her money, especially in prison. Miroshone starts playing mind games with FF and almost sabotages the run.
She's the problem here! What is she doing near my water?
But she and Jolyne manage to pull through and make 100 catches. That's when Miroshone ups the ante. She says she'll pay $1,000 if they can go for 100 more. Jolyne immediately says no. She's getting a bad feeling from Miroshone. But Ermes takes up the challenge. They can't pass up on $1,000 when it's so easy to win them. Turns out, it's not that easy at all, because when Ermes and FF get to 33 throws, the guard says recess time is over. Ermes bribes him for some extra time, so he agrees to give them more, before he takes her catching mitt away. Ermes has to use her sticker to stop the ball from dropping, and she does. But at that moment, Ermes broke the rule of the game. That's when Miroshone's stand Marilyn Manson shows up. Marilyn Manson is essentially the Grim Reaper of debt collectors. If you lose a bet to Miroshone, it will take everything from you until the debt has been repaid. Marilyn Manson immediately swipes all of Ermes's money, but when that doesn't add up to $1,000, the stand shoves its hand inside Ermes and steals her liver. Good God! FF and Jolyne can't even attack the stand either. It's basically a manifestation of Ermes's guilt. The only way to get Ermes's liver back and save her is to win a bet with Miroshone. So, Jolyne makes a bet. If she and FF can complete 1,000 throws, Miroshone gives back everything she took from Ermes. Miroshone agrees and then makes a run for it. So FF and Jolyne start chasing her, playing catch as they do. The girls chase Miroshone into the bathroom, playing catch the entire time. Miroshone turns off the lights to sabotage them, but FF shoots her and the lights, turning them back on. Jolyne then chases Miroshone into an elevator, where Miroshone closes it and makes it go up a floor. Jolyne and FF still manage to make the throw, only for the guard from earlier to catch the ball and walk away. Miroshone laughs as Marilyn Manson shoves its hand inside Jolyne. She thinks she's won. But that's when Jolyne brings the ball back with stone free and smacks it in Miroshone's face. You see, Jolyne never specified who her partner was when she made the bet, and since the guard caught the ball, she's still in business. She then turns Miroshone into her partner and smacks her with the baseball over and over again until she wins the bet. The episode ends as both of Miroshone's discs pop out of her head. She's finished. Still, that Marilyn Manson is an insane stand ability. Episode 10 starts with Jolyne calling the Speedwagon Foundation, telling them she's got one of Jotaro's discs. She says it needs to be delivered urgently, so the man on the phone tells her to come to the courtyard in 20 minutes. Now that's what I mean when I say urgent. The man then tells Jolyne to look out for Savage Garden, whatever the hell that means. So she bribes this ugly-ass guard and hotfoots it to the courtyard. But on her way there, she runs into Emporio, who drags her into a secret room. There, she sees two guys, one of whom is sleeping inside a piano. Don't even ask, man.
He'd prefer to sleep in a bed, of course, but unfortunately for him, there simply isn't one to be found in this room.
The pink-haired guy immediately leaves, but Emporio says both of them are trustworthy. Emporio then explains that they're inside the ghost of a room. Just like living things, non-living objects can turn into ghosts too, and Emporio's stand ability lets him interact with these ghost objects. Cool! After explaining that, Emporio says Jolyne should take the other guy with her. They exit the room and Emporio introduces the man as Weather Report, which, oddly enough, is the name of his stand too. And as the name suggests, he can control the weather. Sick! That's when Weather Report gets right up in Jolyne's face and tells her something disturbing. Someone is watching them. Weather grabs Emporio and they make a run for it, while some dude chases them on all fours. Weirdo. They manage to get away from him, but not before he spits on Jolyne's leg. Ew. After losing him, Jolyne and Weather head over to the courtyard while Emporio returns to the ghost room. Since the courtyard is on the men's side of the prison, Weather walks through easily while Jolyne has to bribe the guard. When she's about to leave, she realizes something. Everything she touches starts floating. She begins floating herself too, and realizes that this weird guy's stand ability makes everything Jolyne touch enter zero gravity. As far as stand attacks go, I want to be attacked by this one. It sounds fun! That's when the weirdo shows up again and jumps straight at Star Platinum's disc. He's got suction cups on his fingers. Ugh, could this guy get any more disgusting? Anyway, Jolyne tries to get the CD back, but the weirdo grabs it and tries to escape. So Jolyne calls out to Weather Report for help. And it works! This absolute Chad comes running back and faces the weirdo 1v1. The weirdo then brings out his stand, Jumping Jack Flash, and his fight with Weather Report begins. Weather sets his arms on fire, so JJF disables zero gravity on a metal object, which smacks Weather on the head. That's when the alarms start blaring and the weirdo makes a run for it. So Weather Report grabs hold of Jolyne, making himself weightless too. He then uses the wind to zoom through the door just before it closes, catching up with Sticky Hands. The next episode sees Pucci in the control room, asking the guards questions about the ruckus that's happening. He then requests to hear the phone call between Jolyne and the Speedwagon Foundation. Oh, hell nah! Meanwhile, Jolyne and Weather are floating inside the laundry room when they realize something horrifying.
Already did it myself. There, just now while floating.
JJF has turned the room into a zero-gravity vacuum. Since it's a vacuum, air starts rushing out of the room at high speeds. But it's not just the air. The blood from Jolyne and Weather's injuries also starts getting sucked out. Now, running out of both oxygen and blood, Weather Report turns the remaining air in the room into these sick-looking air suits for himself and Jolyne, buying them a couple minutes. That's when Jolyne looks around the room and figures out that JJF's gravity has an effect range of about 20 meters. She tells Weather to get out of that range and get some breathable air. Much like her father, Jolyne is a damn good strategist. This is truly the kind of nepotism that I would die for. Anyway, Weather jumps to get out of range, only for JJF to shoot at him from behind. He's using screws and bolts and other stuff as bullets. Jolyne deflects the bullets, but one of them hits Weather in the leg. JJF then shoots at a barrel filled with air, making it fly into Weather, knocking him right back into JJF's range. With that, Jolyne has no choice but to go after Weather to save him. This gives JJF the perfect opportunity to launch an attack at Jolyne, and it hits her. JJF laughs in triumph until he sees blue threads in his hand. Oh hell yeah! Turns out Jolyne was waiting for him to reload his bullets because she attached her threads to them. She then pulls JJF into the zero gravity area, and now he's on the verge of dying. But this weirdo is a stone cold killer. He will not give up that easily. So he uses a bottle filled with air to attack Jolyne, getting rid of her air suit. Jolyne is about to explode until Weather sacrifices the last of his air to make her another suit and passes out. No! On the other hand, JJF sees no other way out and deactivates gravity, only to meet Stonefree's fist. After punching his face in, Jolyne gets Star Platinum's disc back and is ready to get it back to her dad. She swipes the weirdo's card off of him and uses it to open the door, only to see Father Pucci walk in. It's finally happened. Our JoJo has come face to face with the main villain, and it didn't even take 30 episodes. The following episode starts with Pucci acting like he doesn't know Jolyne at all, and pretending like he's gonna sound the alarm. Jolyne begs him to stop, and he asks if Jolyne is alone. She says yes, but he knows she's lying. Pucci can't bring out Whitesnake either. Jolyne would know he's her enemy, and that would be a problem since he wants to stay hidden. Of course. So, Pucci listens to Jolyne and lets her through. Jolyne heads on over to the courtyard, hoping to get her disc to the Speedwagon messenger, only for a guard with a disc in his head to shoot her in the stomach. Turns out, that's why Pucci didn't sound the alarm. This was his plan all along. Yeah, that wasn't very priest-like of him. Well, to be fair, nothing he does is priest-like in the slightest. We then see the reason why Pucci has done everything he has so far. Basically, 20 years ago, he met and befriended Dio. I say befriended with an asterisk because they're clearly into each other. Anyway, that's when Dio told Pucci about his master plan, a way for humans to achieve heaven. Dio said that if Pucci wanted details, he'd have to come and visit him in Cairo. However, by the time Pucci got there, Jotaro had already killed Dio. Not only that, but he read and burned the notebook in which Dio had written down all the steps to achieve heaven. That's why Pucci needs Jotaro's memory, to find Dio's secret plans to achieve heaven. That's not terrifying at all. With Jolyne bleeding out, Pucci closes the door, convinced that the guard will finish the job. This priest from hell, who's way too into heaven, walks away. Meanwhile, the guard outside sees Star Platinum's disc and is about to shoot Jolyne in the head until a frog falls on his face. Huh? And that's when it starts raining frogs. You see, Weather Report manipulated the weather to grab these frogs from nearby swamps before making them rain on top of the prison. These aren't just ordinary frogs either, they're poison dart frogs, one of the deadliest species on the planet. While Jolyne protects herself with Stone Free, the guard gets injected with poison and it immediately takes effect. Pucci is also ambushed by the frogs falling through the roof, and he realizes that Jolyne's hidden partner is Weather Report. Now, how does Pucci know that? Well, you're gonna have to stick around to learn that. Anyway.
Calm down. Maintain your peace of mind.
Now surrounded by frogs and locked behind a gate, Pucci starts naming prime numbers to calm himself down. What a weirdo. He tries breaking through the gate, and when that doesn't work, he calls the guard that shot Jolyne for help. Unfortunately, he is full of poison, so Pucci has to wait for another guard to show up. And when he does, Pucci uses a frog's poison to blind him and forces the guard to set him free. What a dastardly bastard. Meanwhile, Jolyne is at the end of her strength and the poison is seeping through her threads. When it finally stops raining frogs, Pucci sends out Whitesnake, which sees Jolyne covered in frogs. It then finds the disc and tries to get it back to Pucci, only for Jolyne to snatch it with her thread. Turns out she was using the frogs that had already fallen as protection from the rest of the raining frogs, and now she has the disc. Before Whitesnake can even react, Jolyne throws the disc to a pigeon, but it's no ordinary bird. That pigeon is the Speedwagon Foundation's carrier. It takes the Star Platinum disc away, leaving Pucci fuming. He's about to kill Jolyne, but a bunch of guards show up. Jolyne tries to see who Whitesnake's stand user is, but Pucci catches onto her plan and manages to stay hidden. Still, half of Jolyne's job is done. Now, she just needs her dad's memory disk, but that's easier said than done. The following episode opens with a strange montage. Jolyne is standing over a heavily injured Ermes before she gets shipped to the Ultra Security House unit, and it's awful. Sick hygiene standards and even sicker inmates. Still, Jolyne says she's not losing her spirits just yet. Meanwhile, Pucci holds Jotaro's disc as he remembers his friend Dio's words about getting to heaven. Even after dying, Bitchman's influence still haunts the Joestars through his boyfriend, through his friend. Anyway, but all of that happens in the future. At present time, Ermes is following a man, but when she sees him talking to Pucci, she makes a break for it. If she stayed even a couple of seconds longer, she'd get to see the sick bastard start to get covered in maggots. Ugh. Later at breakfast, Jolyne asks FF where Ermes is, and she tells Jolyne that Ermes has been following a man. Ermes goes to Gwes, who's clearly the info guru of the women's prison, and finds out the name of the man is Sports Max. His parents must have really hated him to name him something like that. Sports Max was a notorious evil gangster when he was free, but he's stuck in prison now. FF and Jolyne try to stop Ermes from going after Sports Max, but she tells them to mind their own business. Cold, I know, but completely reasonable. Because you see, the reason Ermes is following Sports Max is because he killed Ermes's older sister Gloria. What's more, we see in a flashback that the only reason Gloria died was so she could protect Ermes from Sports Max. That's why Ermes committed the armed robbery that landed her in Green Dolphin State Prison. She wanted to come here so she could avenge her sister. Completely understandable, since I would do the same. Ermes follows Sports Max until he's alone, then she lays a trap for him.
I see your memory's intact. Works for me.
She distracts Sports Max with a picture of Gloria before using her stickers to trap him in a drainage pipe. She turns the water on, hoping to drown the evil bastard. Serves him right. Only it didn't serve him at all, because he starts attacking Ermes with a stand. What's more, it's completely invisible. Ermes can't see it. She loses a finger before the stand pokes holes in her stomach and neck. There's no doubt about it. Though Ermes can't see the stand, she knows it's in the shape of a bird. After some struggling, Ermes manages to crush it using her sticker and thinks she's home free, until she sees a taxidermied crocodile. That's when she sees it, an invisible crocodile running right at her. That's the ability of Sportsmax's stand, Limp Bizkit. It can summon the spirit of anything that has died, so long as the dead body is near Sportsmax. That's terrifying. Ermes manages to grab a pipe and get off the floor, so the crocodile tries to free Sportsmax instead of attacking her. That's when FF and Jolyne walk in. The crocodile immediately bites FF's leg off, and Ermes fills them in on what's happening. Jolyne uses FF's blood to cover the crocodile, and now they can see the beast. Only one small problem with that. It's charging right at them. The next episode opens with a flashback of Pucci giving Sportsmax a bone, but it's no ordinary bone. It belonged to Dio himself. What the hell is this priest up to? Meanwhile, Jolyne and the others are still trying to fight the invisible crocodile. Jolyne sets up her threads to locate it, but it creeps up on her and takes a chunk out of her shoulder. That's when FF locks in. She puts her hand out for the crocodile to take a bite. When it does, she transforms that hand into a gun, shooting the crocodile to death. She then heals Jolyne and Ermes, while Ermes gives her some water so that FF can heal herself. The Jo gals are really getting along, you love to see it. And that's when Ermes realizes the bad news. Sportsmax has already escaped, and is making his way to the prison chapel. That is bad news.
The bribe is in my hand, but he won't even acknowledge me.
Sportsmax makes his way over to a girl, who he tries talking into spending some time with him, if you know what I mean. But the girl completely ignores him. When he touches her, she kicks another guy for touching her without paying first. Sportsmax hates that too. Apparently he's a huge feminist. Yeah, right. So Sportsmax decides to beat the guy up. He drags him to another room, robs him, and finds some drugs in his possession. Being the scumbag that he is, Sportsmax decides to use the drugs, only to realize his veins are filled with sewage water. He then remembers what happened. You see, he didn't escape the pipe. Quite the opposite, actually. He drowned to death in the pipe. But since his dead body was near his stand Limp Bizkit, it turned him into an invisible ghost. That's why the girl was ignoring him. She can't even see him. He then proceeds to eat the girl alive. He's turned into one of his own bloodthirsty monsters. Meanwhile, Jolyne and Ermes are tracking him down, and they follow him into the prison graveyard, where he locks the door behind them. That's a bad place to be stuck with Limp Bizkit. Jolyne starts fighting and uses Stone Free to trap and attack what she thinks is Sportsmax, but it's actually the ghost of the woman he just killed. Sportsmax then attacks her from behind before unleashing the ghost of the dead inmates from the graveyard onto them. Jolyne tells Ermes to run away, but Ermes says revenge is more important to her than anything else, and she's going to get it. So, she walks forward and gets assaulted by the ghosts of the inmates. As she's about to pass out, she feels someone take a bite out of her head. It's Sportsmax. Luckily, she put a sticker on her head and duplicated it, which saves her life. Oh, phew, that was close. Ermes then attacks Sportsmax with Kiss, only to find out that the bastard removed his head when he bit her. Limp Bizkit's undead army keeps attacking her as Sportsmax reattaches his head to his body and goes in for the kill. That's when Ermes takes off the sticker and her head comes back together. But that's not all. You see, Ermes' sticker makes the entirety of her head come back together, and wouldn't you know it, that also includes the part of her head that Sportsmax ate. It bursts out of him and reattaches to Ermes. Not only is her head back in one piece, but she knows where he is now. she proceeds to use her sticker to unleash one of the most satisfying beatdowns in all of JoJo, sending Sportsmax to the afterlife for real this time. She passes out immediately after, and the episode ends as Jolyne screams out to FF for help. The next episode opens with us seeing exactly what it was Pucci wanted from Sportsmax. He wanted to use Sportsmax's ability to bring Dio's bone back to life. Sportsmax does it, and the bone pierces through Whitesnake's hand before vanishing. Pucci says he'll observe the bone for now, and that it's in the ultra-security housing unit. We know all this because Emporio saw it using Sportsmax's memory disk. Of course, Jolyne already saw these memories, and that's why she got herself shipped to Ushu. She wants to find out what happened to Dio's bone. Meanwhile, with Ermes and Weather Report out of commission, FF needs to help save Jolyne. So she turns to the other stand user with Emporio, Anasui.
Hey, Crisscross, are you available to help us?
Emporio says he's no use to them. After all, he's an actual murderer. Didn't Emporio say he was trustworthy? Have some consistency, kid. Anyway, FF tries to force Anasui to help, only to say he'll help her willingly. And why does he do that? Well, Anasui's taking a liking to Jolyne, and he wants to marry her. That's one hell of a proposal, my guy, especially considering Jolyne isn't even there. Anasui then starts running at the wall and uses his stand diver down to kick the door. When guards approach to investigate the sound, the kick comes out the other side delayed, knocking them all out as soon as they open the door. You see, Diver Down's power lets it phase into objects or people and store physical actions in them, or rearrange their internal structures. Cool ass stand. Meanwhile, we get a flashback of Pucci with Dio, where he asks Dio what the weakest stand is. So Dio tells him about a stand named Survivor. The only thing this stand does is convince people to fight each other. That's it. It can't discriminate between friend or foe, and makes them fight until they destroy themselves. Pucci asks Dio to give him the stand. It could be useful one day, and I feel like that day is gonna be today. Meanwhile, in the present, Jolyne is visited by some prison guards who splash her with water. Unfortunately for them, Pucci has set Survivor loose in the Ushu.
I've got nothing else to change into unless I go back to the main building.
It starts manipulating the guards to make them fight, and they start beating the living hell out of each other. Their vicious, and I mean vicious, brawl goes on until one of the guards kills the other one. The guard then screams in triumph, and Jolyne knows that there's some stand shenanigans going on here. We then cut to Pucci, who reveals that he has four stand users inside the Ushu, and all of them have been tasked with the same thing, taking out Jolyne Cujoh. As the episode ends with the prison guard freeing all of the inmates, Jolyne has her work cut out for her. This is gonna be rough. The next episode starts with the guard charging at Jolyne, who's feeling super aggressive herself because of Survivor's effects. She gets into a brawl with him, and it's just as vicious as the last one.
No normal humans are capable of these moves.
Jolyne basically snaps his leg in half, but the bastard keeps attacking her. Using Stone Free, Jolyne has him cornered and is about to deliver the final blow when her arm starts bleeding. That's when a disc pops out of his head and Jolyne realizes the guard is a stand user. Not only that, but there are probably others here too. Jolyne tries to figure out how the guard made her arm bleed, but he's not giving her any time to figure it out. Jolyne, being the badass that she is, completely neutralizes his attacks and pins him down. She's about to finish him off when her leg gets a chunk taken out of it. That gives the guard enough time to get her into a chokehold and pin her down. That's when Jolyne looks up at the glass ceiling of Ushu and realizes what's happening. She's being attacked by tiny meteors. The guard's stand is called Planet Waves, and its ability is exactly what I said, bringing down meteors to attack its opponents. Now that's just ridiculous. Meanwhile, Anasui is using Diver Down to expertly sneak into the Ushu, and you can tell he's super skilled. FF follows him closely as they try to get to Jolyne. Speaking of Jolyne, the guard brings down another meteor on her and she dodges out of the way, hoping to make the meteors hit the guard. But it's useless. As soon as the meteors come close to the guard, they disintegrate. The guard grabs hold of her again and brings more meteors down. Jolyne gets loose and this time tries redirecting the meteors at him again, but they just disintegrate again. Seeing the state our JoJo is in, the guard is super cocky about his position now. He's pretty sure he's won. However, that's when Jolyne sees a random inmate picking up Dio's bone and walking away with it. She tries to go after him, but the guard isn't letting her go anywhere. He brings down more meteors on her, so she hides behind a wall to block them. Unfortunately, they hit her anyway. The guard starts unleashing an unholy beatdown on her, and Jolyne needs to decide, is she gonna lay down and give up, or is she gonna find Whitesnake and save her father? To absolutely no one's surprise, she chooses option B, and in the most JoJo way possible. She steals the guard's shoe, fills it with rubble, and uses the next meteor's momentum to send it flying at his face. She then delivers the final blow with Stone Free, putting the guard down for good. The episode ends with her screaming in victory. The next episode opens with Jolyne thinking she's gonna go after the guy with Dio's bone, but that's when she realizes all the inmates in the Ushu are super bloated, except for 2 guys. Jolyne figures that they're stand users, and the older one comes forward. He introduces himself as Kenzo, a 78-year-old man who's in great shape for his age. He says he'll take on Jolyne next, and Jolyne flips him off in multiple languages. I love her. Kenzo tells Jolyne that all the dead prisoners in front of her drowned to death, and he's the one who did it. That's when FF shows up and shoots at Kenzo, but Kenzo summons a small dragon in his hand, moves a couple steps, and completely avoids her bullets. Kenzo then shoves his hand inside FF's face, removing all the air and filling her lungs with water. Now, water is usually great for FF, but since she's inhabiting a human body, her lungs hurt bad right now. Kenzo thinks he's got her, only for FF to poke a hole in her neck to release the water before shooting at Kenzo and clipping him. While their battle is happening, Anasui comes up to Jolyne and tells her 2 things. 1, Kenzo was a cult leader that killed a bunch of people, and 2, he's in love with her. What a Chad! Meanwhile, Kenzo is still fighting with FF, and he pulls out the dragon, dodging FF's attacks again. This time, FF notices something behind her, another dragon. She shoots at it, but the bullets pass right through the dragon. The dragon then tells FF he's not her enemy, Kenzo is.
No! Don't attack me! You're just wasting your time!
Kenzo then attacks FF and makes his way to the dragon. What follows next is confusing. Kenzo makes his arm disappear into the dragon's mouth. Then, that arm attacks FF from out of nowhere. That's when Anasui figures it out. Kenzo is using Feng Shui. His stand is Dragon's Dream, and it's pretty simple. Basically, it studies the optimum ways to both evade the enemy's attacks and attack them. That way, he can deal damage to his enemies without taking any damage himself. That is OP as hell. The thing about Dragon's Dream is that it's a completely impartial stand. It helps out Kenzo's enemies too, since everyone should be able to use Feng Shui. So, the dragon tells FF her weakest point, which is right above her left ear. Unfortunately, it's not much use to her. Kenzo attacks, and Jolyne tells FF to keep Kenzo away from the dragon. But this time, the dragon swallows FF's arm instead, and sends it back at her through a dead prisoner. This wasn't the main attack though, because as that happens, the movement of the dead prisoner leads to a chain of events that causes a metal boomerang to slice FF's head open like a can. No! Who am I kidding? I know she's gonna be fine. The next episode sees Kenzo turn his attention to Jolyne with FF's head sliced open, but FF is alive, barely, and she points her gun at Kenzo. So FF shoots Kenzo and manages to get some damage in. Still, she's in terrible shape and needs water, so she makes a beeline for the water hose. When she gets there, the dragon tells FF that this place holds serious bad luck for her, but FF needs water. So she sacrifices both of her arms and makes her way inside the pipe trying to get the water out. She does that, but something crazy happens. Since Kenzo's Feng Shui protects him at all costs if he's in the right spot, it literally makes FF's own hands hit her. The impact sends her flying as far away from the water as possible. She falls down the stairs where she ends up in the execution room and in the electric chair. What's more, the countdown to the chair gets activated. And I thought I had bad luck. FF tries to escape, but Kenzo's feng shui has put her in a situation where she ends up back on the chair no matter what she does. FF attacks Kenzo and tries to get to the water, but he just evades the bullets and kicks her onto the chair as the timer hits 0. But that's when the dragon tells Kenzo he's been fooled. He wasn't looking at the real dragon, he was looking at the reflection of it. You see, FF used Kenzo's sweat to make a fake-ass mirror, tricking the old man into thinking he's safe. FF then grabs Kenzo, electrocuting him with her. That's badass. After the electrocution stops, Anasui stops Jolyne from going after FF. He says she's dead, but Jolyne chases after her anyway. Why? Because the dragon is still there. Kenzo is alive. Jolyne gets near him and attacks with Stone Free, but Kenzo just dodges, saying he's invisible. But Jolyne wasn't attacking him at all. She was picking up the surviving parts of FF, which Jolyne puts back into her human body. So Kenzo uses his feng shui to attack Jolyne, only to bounce up in the air. Kenzo starts bouncing around like a pogo stick, and that's because Anasui's Diver Down was hiding inside Jolyne. Diver Down snuck inside Kenzo, destroyed his legs, and turned them into springs, putting him out of commission. Seeing all of that, Jolyne doesn't know whether to be impressed or terrified. Anasui is a scary dude.
Hey, White Dragon, come back! Why are you drifting away?
With Kenzo down, the episode then ends with us seeing the inmate with Dio's bone, and he clearly has no idea what he's messing around with. Oh, this can't end well. The next episode opens with us seeing how Jotaro is doing. He's alive, but he has no idea who he is. When the doctor treating him tries touching Jotaro, Star Platinum attacks instinctively. He breaks some glass and it cuts Jotaro's arm, but the cuts aren't random. They spell out a name, and that name is Jolyne. In that moment, Jolyne gets the same marks on her arm and realizes she finally understands her father and everything he did to keep Jolyne and her mom safe. You absolutely love to see it. After FF heals Jolyne, Anasui tells FF to trip Jolyne so he can catch her. How romantic.
I'm going to make Jolyne my wife, and you are going to help me with that.
But when FF trips her, Jolyne spots the man with the bone and immediately goes after him. The man makes a run for it, and they chase him, only to find out that he's turning into a plant. And it's not just him. All the dead mates are turning into plants too. As the stand user with Kenzo from earlier watches in secret, Jolyne tries to go after the bone, when leaves start sprouting on her too. Jeez. Whatever the prisoners have, Jolyne has been infected by it too. It's not looking good for her. As that happens, Jolyne tells Anasui to get away since she's been infected, but he just kisses one of the flowers on her face, saying he'll save her. Creepy or romantic? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, the plants on Jolyne grow when she's standing in the sunlight, so Anasui pulls her into the shade. But Jolyne wants to find the bone, and that's when she sees what's going on. All the now plant inmates are connecting at a middle point, and inside that point is a green baby with a Joestar birthmark. Wait, what? Jolyne realizes the bone went inside this baby, and it's what Whitesnake is after. So, she swipes the egg it's in, saying she's not letting Whitesnake get his hands on it. With Anasui leading the way, they escape. As for the other stand user that was spying on them, Anasui found a healthy prisoner and turned him into a living trap, destroying that stand user's arm. Plus, the guy he turned into a trap was none other than Survivor's stand user. This Anasui guy is really useful, isn't he? I'd for sure accept his proposal. Anyway, as the plant growing effect ends, Jolyne and her friends are in the clear, until an ugly-ass stand shows up and eats the egg. Its name is Yo-Yo Ma, and it belongs to the dude whose hand Anasui just wrecked. They all attack it immediately, but their attacks have no effect. Anasui tries getting the green baby out of it, but even Diver Down can't do it. That's when they find out that Yo-Yo Ma is a really nice guy? He calls Jolyne his master and is super nice to her. Anyway, they know the guards are gonna find them soon, so Anasui and Jolyne decide to escape with Yo-Yo Ma, while FF stays back and defeats the stand user. Jolyne and Anasui head out with Yo-Yo Ma and all seems well, but that's when we see FF, and her face has a hole in it. Turns out Yo-Yo Ma is all nice when you're looking at him, but the moment you take your eyes off him, he turns into a killing machine. Oh boy, this isn't good. The following episode sees Jolyne and Anasui heading away from Green Dolphin Street Prison as Yo-Yo Ma keeps looking for an opening to hurt them. Suddenly, they hear something and immediately take cover. That's when the guards from the prison show up on speedboats with heavy artillery. Yo-Yo Ma helps them disguise themselves for a while, but they eventually get caught. During the confusion, Yo-Yo Ma makes a mosquito bite Jolyne. What is this bastard up to? Meanwhile, Anasui has no choice but to attack the guards. He tosses Yo-Yo Ma on one boat before using Diver Down to take out the other one. But when they're making their escape, Jolyne realizes something. She can't speak. She tries telling this to Anasui, who just thinks she wants to kiss. Typical man moment, ugh. So, she punches him in the face and tries to show him that Yo-Yo Ma is attacking them, which Anasui thinks is some kind of kink. Jesus Christ, Anasui, get it together! Jolyne realizes that Yo-Yo Ma only attacks them when they're not looking, so she closes both her and Anasui's eyes. Yo-Yo Ma's attack comes out, filling Jolyne with holes and dropping her to the ground. Anasui gets some holes in his face too, but he punches Yo-Yo Ma with Diver Down. My man's finally ready for a fight. As that happens, Jolyne figures out that Yo-Yo Ma is using spit to attack them, and that he is a perfect auto-tracking stand. As long as he has his target in sight, he will never stop attacking. So, Anasui gets creative in a way only a Joe boyfriend can. He uses Diver Down to connect a frog to Yo-Yo Ma's brain. Now, no matter what his mission is, Yo-Yo Ma thinks like a frog. Because of that, he becomes a non-threat. All Jolyne and Anasui have to do now is wait for FF to take out the stand user. Speaking of FF, she's watching as the stand user is surrounded by guards. She waits patiently, waiting for a chance to shoot him. That's when she sees something odd. The prison priest Pucci is there for some reason. FF doesn't know the reason, but we do. Pucci knows that the stand user in the ambulance saw everything that happened in Ushu, and he needs to question him about it. After taking a small break and listening to music on a dead person's head, standard JoJo villain stuff.
Wonderful. Give due praise to this deep emotion.
He makes his way over to the ambulance, only to see FF ready to shoot the stand user. Pucci throws a disc into a guard at the last second to stop FF, before revealing himself as Whitesnake's stand user. Now, FF is in a dilemma. Does she finish the stand user, or go after Pucci? The next episode starts with FF choosing to shoot the stand user instead of Pucci, but she hesitated. That hesitation gives Whitesnake enough time to attack her and start removing her disc. Foo Fighters, now cornered, decides to go kamikaze. She removes herself from the human body she's in and takes over the stand user's body, exploding him from the inside. This makes Yo-Yo Ma disappear, and that's when Jolyne and Anasui see it. The green baby has been born. Before they can do anything, it falls into the water. Meanwhile, FF tries her best to get away from Whitesnake and to a water faucet, but he stops her in her tracks. FF tries to trick Whitesnake, saying Jolyne and Anasui have probably killed the green baby, but Whitesnake isn't worried. He knows it can't be killed. How does he know that? Meanwhile, Jolyne and Anasui are looking for the green baby when they see it running away from them. So Jolyne goes after it, only to realize that she isn't getting any closer to it. What's more, the farther she goes after it, the smaller she gets. Now that's a crazy stand ability. So Jolyne decides she's gonna grab the baby with her thread and jump on him from above. The plan is great, except for the fact that the baby's stand attacks her mid-air. She's about to start dropping and shrinking for eternity, but Anasui jumps in and saves her at the last second. Whew, that was close. Their troubles aren't over though, because the baby and its stand start attacking them. They make a run for it, and Anasui uses yet another big brain moment to trap the baby's stand inside a bottle. They make it out, but the baby suddenly traps Anasui under the bottle, turning the tables on them. Things are looking bad until the baby touches Jolyne and they both return to normal size. The baby seems to have taken a liking to Jolyne.
There's no doubt in due time this child will become her enemy.
Specifically to her star-shaped birthmark. Jolyne is confused about what to do, but Anasui isn't. He thinks the baby is pure evil and plans to get rid of it. Based Anasui! The next episode opens with undeniable proof that Pucci and Dio were a thing. Just look at them! Anyway, we see them talking about the Mona Lisa and Boring. Before we get to see how Pucci got his hands on Dio's bone, pause. Dio just gave it to him. I guess you could say Dio boned Pucci. Okay, I'll leave. I'm sorry. Meanwhile, in the present, Pucci makes his way over to FF's CD when he hears a transmitter. Suddenly, it starts raining. And that's because FF was talking to Weather Report on the transmitter. The rain brings back FF from the brink of death, and she runs off with her CD. The rain and fog also stop Whitesnake from chasing her, and she makes it to Weather Report, who asks where Jolyne and Anasui are. Later, Weather Report and FF catch up to Jolyne and Anasui. After Anasui stops getting jealous over Jolyne and Weather Report hugging, he wants to kill the green baby. Unfortunately, he doesn't get the chance, because the Weather Report with them isn't actually Weather Report, it's Pucci in disguise. He uses Whitesnake to sneak attack all three of the good guys, giving them all serious injuries. With that, there's literally no one to stop him from getting the green baby. But before that, he wants to finish off Jolyne, who managed to avoid serious injury using Stone Free. But it's Jolyne's turn to launch a sneak attack, slapping a handcuff on Pucci and herself, locking them in battle. Pucci tries to get Jolyne's stand disc, but Jolyne is too hellbent on kicking Pucci's ass. And now the bastard priest is in a corner. So, he throws Jotaro's memory disc into Anasui. If Anasui dies while the disc is in him, Jotaro's disc will be destroyed too. Jolyne has no choice but to go after her father's disc. Meanwhile, Pucci makes his way over to the green baby and gives it Dio's bone. The baby immediately chomps down on the bone and Pucci's hand, dragging him into the tall grass, seemingly eating him whole. Meanwhile, Jotaro's memory disc is inside Anasui, who's dying fast. Anasui asks FF to take over his body to save Jotaro's memory disc, but FF has different plans. She uses the last of her power to heal him, saving Jotaro's disc. After that, her soul leaves her body and says one final goodbye to her friend Jolyne.
Thanks for everything.
My time here is finally up.
As her soul leaves, Jolyne's eyes are filled with tears, but FF is grateful. After all, she got to live a life with friends, and what more could you ask for than that? The next episode starts with us seeing a flashback of the bitch man himself, listing the details of his plan to go to heaven. And as he goes through his list, we see that Pucci has fulfilled all of the requirements. Speaking of Pucci, he walks out of Green Dolphin Street Prison and something is different about him. His hair is bigger and he has the Joestar birthmark now. According to Pucci, all he has to do now is get to a specific location and wait for the full moon. Just what in the werewolf is this? Meanwhile, Emporio meets Jolyne, who's under complete surveillance. Emporio says Jolyne should wait for the Speedwagon Foundation to contact them, but Jolyne saw Jotaro's memories and knows what Pucci is up to. She's gonna stop the priest. That's when a woman named Miuccia Mueller, or Miu Miu for short, shows up with her stand Jailhouse Lock. Miu Miu has a message from Pucci. If Jolyne leaves Pucci alone, he won't stop her from saving Jotaro. But of course, Jolyne isn't with that, and she tries punching the bars of her cell, only to end up back in the regular female wing. Wait, what? Jolyne asks Gwess what the hell is going on, but Gwess is quiet. That's when she sees writings on her hand, and Gwess tells her what's up. The doctor diagnosed her with temporary amnesia. Basically, she can only remember 3 new things at once. Only that's not amnesia, it's Jailhouse Lock's ability. If Jolyne learns something new, she'll lose one of the first 3 things she learned. Reading everything on her body, she realizes she has to go find Miu Miu and take her down. One problem with that. When she sees Miu Miu, Jolyne's already forgotten that she needs to defeat her.
It's almost time for lunch, good timing.
Oh, is that so?
Jailhouse Lock's ability has basically turned her life into the movie Memento. Yeah, this is bad. Meanwhile, Emporio tells Ermes that Pucci is Whitesnake's user, before telling her FF is dead. Ermes sheds a single tear and promises to avenge her friend. Meanwhile, Jolyne's forgetfulness leads to her having a lunch with Miu Miu. Great. Miu Miu uses Jolyne's memory problems to trick her and rub off all the writings on her arms, before stealing a piece of paper with important info on it. Jolyne realizes she's helpless. She needs to remember something important to her that'll help break out of this cycle. Something that matters to her the most. So, Jolyne keeps 2 memories. That she can remember 3 things at once, and that she needs to meet Emporio. Speaking of Emporio, he's suffering from Jailhouse Lock 2, and he's stuck in a loop where he keeps electrocuting himself. and he's in bad shape. The episode then ends with Jolyne heading over to meet Emporio, while Mew Mew goes to Jolyne to find out who this Emporio is. The next episode starts with Jolyne getting sidetracked by movies and comics before she reads her arm and realizes she needs to get to Emporio. On her way, she sees Mew Mew and reads her third memory: punch anyone that looks at your left hand. So she brings out Stone Free and starts swinging, only for Mew Mew to make a run for it. Coward. Jolyne chases Mew Mew but ends up reading the name of the floor she's on and forgets what she was doing. Talk about living in the moment. That's when some guards chase her and she has to use Stone Free to trick them. She ends up in Emporio's room where the two of them are happy to see each other before they both forget why the hell they wanted to see each other.
Hey, wait. When did you get here, Jolyne? And why?
That's when Mew Mew pops in and fires 4 bullets with her gun. Jolyne's brain only computes 3 of them, and she blocks those 3, only for the 4th to hit Emporio and his computer. Jolyne is tweaking now. She's going to beat Mew Mew's face in. Mew Mew shoots a bunch of bullets, and Jolyne can only register 3 of them, but using the reflection in the water on the floor, she manages to block them all. Mew Mew makes a run for it, but Jolyne catches her with her threads and proceeds to lay a beat down on her. Unfortunately, that's when 3 guards show up, and Jolyne forgets who she's attacking or why. Mew Mew takes that opportunity to injure Jolyne, tossing her back down the stairs towards Emporio's room. As a bunch of guards show up, it looks like Jolyne is finished. But that's when Emporio shows up with a paper filled with binary code. Jolyne uses that to remember who her enemy is and absolutely pummels Mew Mew. Jolyne then makes Mew Mew use Jailhouse Lock on all the guards, letting them escape scot-free. After that, Emporio and Jolyne head over to Ermes, who says she'll join them in their chase for Pucci. Things are about to get real. Speaking of Pucci, he's in some parking lot absolutely tweaking. He helps a woman with her groceries, only for the eggs in her hand to start aging. Pucci realizes the stand he has is no longer Whitesnake. He has no idea what it is. But what he does know is this was Dio's plan. It's simple. He has to go to the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral in 6 days when the full moon is happening. This cannot be good. The next episode starts with Jolyne, Ermes, and Emporio escaping the prison. While Emporio is excited to see a real bus for the first time, Jolyne says they need a different mode of transportation. Back in the prison, Anasui sees something troubling: a Joestar birthmark on Weather Report's back. What the what? That's when Weather Report says Jolyne has broken out of prison. They need to follow her. Meanwhile, Pucci is on his way to Cape Canaveral when the cab he's in breaks down. That's when he starts seeing the number 3 everywhere. He gets out of the cab and makes his way across a hospital, where 3 criminals end up at the same time. One of the prisoners takes Pucci hostage, and that's when he sees 3 shooting stars. Pucci makes the prisoner stab him, so the police shoot the criminal, supposedly taking him out. But not really. Turns out, all 3 of those criminals are Dio's sons. They were all born out of affairs that Dio had when he was in Egypt, aka Part 3, and fate has made it so all 3 have appeared right before Pucci. And Pucci, being the opportunist he is about to recruit them to stop Jolyne Cujoh. If that isn't the mother of all coincidences, I don't know what is. Also, Dio sleeping around doesn't surprise me at all. Meanwhile, Anasui and Weather Report break out of jail and hitch a ride thanks to Weather Report's kindness. On the ride, Anasui picks up a comic, but sees that none of the characters in it are drawn. Weird. That's when they see something jumping around the back of the truck, and Anasui grabs it with Diver Down. But it's not an enemy stand. It's Pinocchio? As in the Pinocchio from the story. Anasui asks him if he's working alone, and Pinocchio lies, saying yes. This makes Pinocchio's nose stretch out and hit Anasui. Anasui threatens to kill him, so Pinocchio tells the truth. He's not alone. That's when Anasui sees the 7 dwarves from Snow White, before Snow White herself pops out of a box.
Chill, there's nothing to panic about here, buddy. Who were you a fan of when you were a kid?
Hearing a report on the radio about Batman going missing, Anasui realizes this is some kind of stand ability, and it's bringing these awesome fictional characters to life. Not only that, but it separated Anasui's spirit from his real body. And where's his real body? Being dragged under the truck. The same thing happens to the old man driving the truck, and they crash, barely being saved by Weather Report. But Weather can't see or hear Anasui. His spirit is invisible. Anasui asks Pinocchio what the hell is going on, and he says this is the ability of the stand Bohemian Rhapsody. Basically, Bohemian Rhapsody has brought all the fictional characters to life. This annoys Anasui, who just kills Pinocchio, which is really metal when you think about it. Anasui decides he needs to stay close to Weather and his body when the man from the truck stops him. Turns out the old man turns into the wolf from Little Red Riding Hood and attacks Anasui. Anasui takes him down no problem, but it's enough time for Weather to get on a bus with Anasui's body and leave his spirit behind. Oh, this is gonna get real messy, isn't it? The next episode starts with Anasui catching up to Weather and his body, only for his body to start running away from him. Anasui chases his body to a shop, where the owner can surprisingly see Anasui. After bribing the owner and ditching the cops, Anasui keeps chasing his own body, only to find the owner of the restaurant riding off into the sunset with Snow White. And that's when Anasui sees a crying goat, and before he knows it, he gets dragged into the story of The Wolf and the Seven Goats. And to his horror, he starts physically turning into the wolf. What the hell is happening here? Meanwhile, Weather Report is looking for the stand user when he runs into the self-portrait of Vincent van Gogh. Weather's spirit separates from his body too, and his ear falls off. Weather is trying to figure out what the hell is going on when his own hand shoots his own head. What? Back with Anasui, as he's being chased down by the mother of the goats, he realizes what's going on. Bohemian Rhapsody doesn't just bring characters to life, it brings stories to life. And once you're stuck in a story, you can't get out. Anasui realizes this as the goats end up in his stomach before Mama Goat cuts them out. While he keeps trying to get away from them, Weather tracks down the stand user. One problem with that, he's on a plane. Weather realizes he can't catch up with the stand user, but he has bigger problems. See, Weather is stuck inside Van Gogh's life story, and in his real life, Van Gogh shot himself in the head twice and died. That means if Weather gets shot again, he's cooked. He makes a run for it when Anasui's spirit jumps out of a taxi and falls on him. This makes Weather fall on the gun, firing the bullet, while Anasui's hand melts into his mouth, drowning him. The stand user is super happy, until he sees a little girl reading Aladdin, and all the characters are in the book. Turns out, Weather survived the gunshot and made Van Gogh draw a new character based on Weather himself. This character has a simple story. It sends every escaped character back to where they came from, and then disappear from existence. The plan works. Weather's character single-handedly restores order, taking out the stand user in the process. There's that Joe Bro genius I'm talking about. Meanwhile, Jolyne heads over to her ex Romeo's place. Romeo immediately drops onto his knees and begs Jolyne for forgiveness. And Jolyne says she doesn't hold anything against him. After all, the conspiracy was much bigger than even she realized. She asks Romeo for money and car keys, and he hands them over gladly. Jolyne leaves, but not before making a copy of Romeo's tongue with one of Ermes' stickers. With that, they hear Romeo calling the police, but he doesn't rat on Jolyne.
No! You're mistaken. She never came to my house. She couldn't have.
In fact, she tells them she's headed to Mexico, completely throwing them off her tail. After that, Jolyne rips the sticker off, sending his tongue flying back into his mouth. Ouch! That's when Emporio sees that they don't just have the keys to a car, they have the keys to a helicopter too. The next episode starts with Jolyne, Ermes, and Emporio making their way to Cape Canaveral in the helicopter, when Emporio feels something strange. He can't open his eyes. Ermes turns to see Jolyne's eyes are bleeding too, before her own eyes are closed shut. As that happens, the helicopter starts spiraling. For God's sake, can a Joestar have one normal flight, please? Realizing they can't do anything here, Jolyne grabs her friends and jumps out of the helicopter. Outside, Ermes sees what's attacking them. A skyfish. Ermes destroys it, only to see dozens more coming at them. Jolyne uses Stone Free to make them land in water, and that's where they come face to face with Rikiel, the second son of Dio. He basically used to be a crying wimp until Pucci unlocked his powers. His stand is called Sky High, and it can control these skyfish. The only problem with that is that Rikiel is still a little As soon as Jolyne goes against his predictions, he starts panicking. Ermes manages to pelt him with some sticker rocks and he starts tweaking. But this is a JoJo villain, so he gets his together and has the Skyfish attack. That's when Ermes' fingers start bending and Emporio suddenly pees blood. Yikes! Jolyne can't figure out what's going on, but Emporio can. He realizes that the Skyfish feed on body heat. Both Ermes' fingers and his kidney failure can be described by losing heat. His genius pisses Ricky-El off. His secret is out. You go, baseball kid! Ricky-El says he'll make the Skyfish go after Jolyne, so Jolyne covers herself in threads and lights them on fire. She closes in on Ricky-El and smacks him, but Ricky-El is done being a loser and he lights himself on fire to figure out how to beat Jolyne.
If your entire body is engulfed in flames, the rods don't know where to absorb your body heat from!
Metal as hell. Ricky-El then attacks Jolyne's thalamus, stopping her from being able to perceive him, but Jolyne just closes her eyes and mouth and uses her connection to Ricky-El to find him and absolutely smash his face in. But Ricky-El's not done yet. He has the Skyfish get rid of his pain sensors and puts himself in a race with Jolyne. Who can kill the other faster? They go at it for a bit and both of them collapse. Man, talk about intense! Emporio and Ermes rush over, only to see Ricky-El get up and fall back down again. Through a stroke of pure luck, Jolyne survived his attack. She won. Ricky-El then says that Jolyne heading to Cape Canaveral will only help Pucci. That's her fate, and she can't do anything about it. Before Ermes punches his face in, Ricky-El tells them one last thing. Weather Report is Pucci's brother. What? But Ermes doesn't care about that at all. They're gonna stop Pucci no matter what. The following episode opens with Jolyne and her crew pulling up to the hospital Pucci is holed up in. Jolyne tells Emporio to deliver Jotaro's memory disk to the Speedwagon Foundation while she and Ermes go after Pucci. Meanwhile, Pucci is talking to the third son of Dio, Versus. Versus hasn't seen his stand ability yet, but Pucci isn't worried about that. I bet it's something evil. Meanwhile, Jolyne and Ermes make it to the floor Pucci and Versus are on. Pucci tells Versus to just let his ability take control, and that's when something weird happens. A plate of food that Versus took a bite of suddenly bursts open, and there's a kid inside. The kid says his father shot him before a bullet flies out of him and hits his father, who was sitting outside. Jolyne and Ermes see this and run into the room, only to find an underground tunnel. Ermes says it's a trap and Jolyne agrees, but they have no choice. So Jolyne gives Ermes her thread and heads inside, saying she'll give a signal if anything bad happens. So Jolyne makes her way into the hole and finds herself inside an airplane? What? She looks outside the window and sees Pucci and Versus sitting there. That's when Versus' stand, Underworld, makes its way onto the plane, looking to cut her thread. Jolyne gives Ermes the signal that she's in trouble. She then fights off Underworld and stops it from cutting her thread to Ermes. But when Ermes is pulling her up, she sees something horrifying. It's Sports Max. Basically, the Earth is like a magnet that remembers everything that happened on it. It remembers the kid being shot by his dad, it remembers Sports Max being drowned in that pipe, and it also remembers a plane that crashed in 2005. Versus simply recreates those memories, and anyone caught in them suffers the same fate as the original memory. Jeez! Ermes manages to fight off this memory of Sports Max, but ends up falling down the hole, sending both herself and Jolyne back inside the plane. The hostess says they'll be crashing in 3 minutes, and Ermes and Jolyne desperately try to find an exit.
Now hurry up, lady, and take us to the cockpit!
No point.
Pucci asks Versus if he can speed up the crash. He can feel Weather Report closing in, but Versus says he can't, and the episode then ends with Jolyne and Ermes having 2 minutes until the plane crashes. The next episode begins with Anasui and Weather making it outside the hospital, and Weather can sense both Pucci and Jolyne there. Meanwhile, with no other exits, Jolyne decides to jump out of the plane's door, right onto Versus. She punches him, only to realize she's trapped inside a fighter jet that also crashed. So she sends her thread outside the hole and grabs onto a policeman's walkie-talkie so she can contact Weather. Meanwhile, Versus is getting really pissed at Pucci for bossing him around and plots revenge.
The blood that's been running through my veins all along is Dio's.
To do that, he digs into Pucci's memory and finds Weather Report's memory disk. He swipes Weather Report's memory disk for later. Meanwhile, Jolyne calls Emporio for help. Emporio comes up with a great plan. He tells her to crash the fighter jet into the other plane. The idea here is that since both planes are destined to explode at a fixed time, anything that happens to them before that won't make them explode. And wouldn't you know it, it works. Jolyne is on the plane. Baseball Kid is low-key a genius. Emporio tells them about the only passengers that survived the crash and which seats they were on. So, they rush to the seats and toss out the passengers sitting in them, only to see that Versus tossed down real kids from the hospital into their seats. Jolyne and Ermes can't put innocent children in harm's way, and the plane blows up. Versus thinks he's won, that is, until the old man walks out from the crash with one of Ermes' stickers on his face. Turns out Ermes used her stickers to save herself and the children, and Jolyne, she split up into threads and hid herself inside Ermes. Jolyne reforms herself before grabbing Versus' legs. Get his ass, JoJo! Versus tries fighting back. But once you're in the hands of a Joestar, there's no escaping. Jolyne pummels him and strings him up ready to take on Pucci next. But Versus refuses to die so easily, and he sends his stand to put Weather's memory disk back in him. Pucci is furious, but Versus says he's not gonna lie down like that. He then tells Jolyne and Ermes that Weather isn't the ally they think he is.
I see, so you had already used your netherworld to read the secrets held in his memory disk.
Pucci removed his memories because he is a straight-up monster, and we see Weather change into an angry person immediately after getting his memories back. What the hell is going on? The next episode starts with Weather Report grabbing an innocent nurse and making his body explode with water. Anasui can't believe what he's seeing. It's like Weather's gained a whole new personality. Oh boy! Meanwhile, Jolyne and the others are surrounded by rainbows, and Pucci says these rainbows are the reason he took away Weather's memories. According to him, Weather's power is so strong that he could destroy the ozone layer if he wanted. With his memories back, Weather isn't just a threat to them, he's a threat to humanity itself. With that, Pucci heads off, and Versus makes a run for it too. Meanwhile, Jolyne and Ermes see what the rainbows do. They make anyone that touches them start secreting snails, and anyone who touches these snails starts going insane. God damn it, this is a personalized nightmare for me. Ermes says that they need to take down Weather. With his memories, he's an enemy. But Jolyne says he's a friend. They need to take out Versus instead. Since he can extract memories from the Earth, he might be able to take out Weather's memory disk too. Outside, Weather senses Pucci on the move and starts following him. Meanwhile, Versus wants to steal the power of heaven from Pucci and wants to know how. So, he digs up a memory of Jolyne telling Ermes about Emporio and her father's disc. Since Versus knows Jotaro's memories holds the secret to achieving heaven, he decides to hunt down Emporio. Meanwhile, Jolyne and Ermes do their best to avoid the snails and find Versus, but Jolyne is confused. How the hell does controlling weather lead to mind-gobbling snails? Meanwhile, Versus uses Underworld to get Emporio's number and uses it to track him down and knock him out. But when he searches Emporio, the disc isn't on him. Confused, he sees Jolyne and Ermes approaching from a distance and drags Emporio into some bushes. Jolyne and Ermes sees this, but a swerving car makes them jump onto some snails. Turns out, the snails don't turn you insane, they turn you into giant snails. Jolyne and Ermes are slowed down to snail speeds, and Versus uses Underworld to bring out a memory of the NFL team Miami Dolphins to distract Jolyne and Ermes while he steals Jotaro's disc. One problem with that, he can't find it on Emporio. That's when Jolyne uses a pipe to get to Versus and smacks him in the face. Versus uses a memory of saltwater evaporating to push Snail Jolyne away, and he finally finds Jotaro's disc. Versus makes a run for it, only to find out that he's been turned into a snail by Jolyne herself. She snatches his disc back before hotwiring a car.
Nice hotwire. You still got it, former car thief?
Oh, come on.
But there's more bad news. The beetles that naturally prey on snails are inside the car, and they start chasing Jolyne and the others. Meanwhile, Anasui demands some answers from Weather, who suddenly stops. He says Pucci is really close to them, he can sense it, and in Weather's own words, the purpose of his life is to get revenge on his brother. Just what the hell happened between them? The next episode opens with us finally getting Pucci and Weather's backstories. You see, Pucci and Weather were born as twins, but there was a woman in the hospital whose newborn died the same day the twins were born. So this crazy lady just took baby Weather and swapped her dead kid for him. This was 1972, and DNA tests were not around, so Pucci's family just accepted their fate, and Pucci grew up thinking his brother passed away at birth. Years later, when he was 15, Pucci was on his way to being a priest when he first met Dio inside his chapel. He showed Dio kindness, so Dio fixed up his deformed toes and gave him a stand arrowhead, in case he ever wanted to see Dio again. A year later, Pucci was just cleaning up the chapel when a woman jumped into the confession booth and started confessing. Before Pucci could do anything, she blurted out that she stole a twin baby 16 years ago. She's about to die now and is extremely guilty about it. Pucci was stunned. His brother was still alive. Meanwhile, we see Weather, whose real name is Wes Bloomerine. He meets Pucci's sister Perla at a restaurant where they develop feelings for each other. Perla tells Pucci she has a boyfriend and he's pretty happy about it.
He's my soulmate.
Good for you.
Until he finds out that Wes is their brother. Yikes! Pucci knows he can't break his sister's heart, so he pays some thug to break them up. All he wants is the thugs to scare Wes into breaking up with Perla. Nothing more. Unfortunately, the thug found out that Wes's mom married a black man, so they decided to beat the out of him and Perla before hanging the poor bastard. Perla pulled him down and Wes was still alive, but Perla didn't know that. In a fit of depression, she threw herself off the cliff, ending herself. Pucci showed up the next day and couldn't believe what happened. As he grabbed Perla's body in his hands, he remembered Dio's words, and that's when the stand arrow stabbed him. A disc popped out of Perla's head, and Whitesnake was born. Meanwhile, Weather got a stand too, and immediately used it to hunt down and kill the thugs responsible. But before he did, he found out it was Pucci who put the hit out on him. 4 days later, Weather's rage boiled over, and suddenly the entire town was filled with snails. So Pucci found him and revealed the truth about being his brother. Before Weather could attack, Pucci removed his memories and locked his ass in prison. But now, Weather has his memory back, and he is going to kill Pucci. The episode ends with Jolyne, Ermes, Emporio, and Versus jumping in a car and making their way over to Weather. This cannot end well. The next episode kicks off with Jolyne and the others driving to where Weather is. Meanwhile, Weather tells Anasui he can't stop the snails, so when he's done with Pucci, Weather wants Anasui to kill him. Anasui agrees and they begin looking for Pucci. They track him down to a car, only for Pucci to cut off Weather's leg. Anasui tries attacking, but Pucci says he knows how Weather's snails work, and suddenly, Anasui starts transforming into one too. But that just leaves the question, why is Pucci unaffected? Luckily for us, Pucci explains. Basically, Weather's rainbows affect people's subconscious minds by planting an image of a snail in them. Once their mind believes they're turning into snails, their body does the rest. And the reason Pucci is unaffected is because he turned his eyes into discs and took them out. And since he can sense Weather, he doesn't need to see him to attack him. That's evil, but genius. Anasui uses Diver Down to help Weather attack Pucci, but he just reflects more light onto Anasui, turning him into even more of a snail. He then cuts off Weather's other leg too, hoping to buy some time to get away, until Weather uses his stand to turn his blood into ice spikes. Pucci's feet get impaled, but he can't see what's happening, so he has a choice. Either risk getting impaled, or put his eyes back and risk turning into a snail. But Pucci isn't going to be beaten by some spikes. He takes control of Anasui and forces him to guide him to safety, only for Weather to create a spike out of Pucci's own blood. I guess he is going to be beaten by some spikes. Weather gets close, and Pucci tries to buy some time by throwing some of the spikes at Weather, but Weather just face tanks them and grabs a hold of Pucci. Pucci struggles, but it's no use. Weather is gonna end both their lives, until Jolyne and the others come crashing in. That's pretty bad timing. Jolyne hops out of the car looking for Weather, and she finds him being held by Pucci. Jolyne tries attacking, but Anasui stops her. The person she's attacking isn't Pucci, it's Versus in the image of Pucci. Meanwhile, Pucci escapes, saying nothing can stop him now. So the group looks for Weather and they find him, but he's not moving. Suddenly, they all turn back to normal and the rainbows disappear. Weather Report is no more. But before he died, Weather did one last thing for his friends. He removed his Stan's disc, so his friends could use it if they needed.
In his final few days, he was happy.
Jolyne grabs the disc and falls to her knees, as every single one of them mourns the death of a friend. R.I.P. Joe bro, you were a real one. With Weather gone, the next episode sees the crew heading over to Cape Canaveral to stop Pucci. Jolyne manages to get Jotaro's disc to the Speedwagon Foundation, but she doesn't know what to do next, and she's exhausted. So she takes a nap on Anasui's shoulder, which is kinda cute. Seeing this, Anasui decides this is as good a time as any to propose to Jolyne, and he puts a ring on her finger, only for her to wake up and unknowingly throw it at an alligator, leaving Anasui in tears.
Jolyne! What did you just throw?
Tough break, buddy. Meanwhile, Emporio uses his computer to pinpoint their location, Kennedy Space Center. Pucci is already there and he's not in good shape. He's breathing and sweating pretty heavily. A guy tries to engage in chit-chat with him, but Pucci basically tells him to piss off. That's when his breathing gets heavier and he starts tweaking. Suddenly, the guy that was trying to talk to him gets splashed by someone else's soda before he flies into some metal poles. What? Meanwhile, Jolyne and the others are discussing their next move when the car suddenly stops moving. They don't understand what's going on until they see other cars going backwards before trees get ripped off and fly in the opposite direction. Suddenly, people and cars come flying into them, destroying the car and sending them flying out. Ermes goes first and she saves Emporio. Anasui catches Jolyne and Emporio, and Ermes tries getting to them only to be hit by some debris and thrown away. Jolyne tries saving her, but Anasui says it's useless. She'll find them if she survives. It may sound harsh, but he's right. So, they start climbing their way upwards to the Kennedy Space Center. And I say upwards because Pucci has a new stand, and it can control gravity. They make their way to the Space Center, where Jolyne says she can sense Pucci. That's when she turns around and sees Pucci's new stand staring at her. Its name is Sea Moon, and it punches Jolyne. She blocks the punch, but it shifts the gravity of her arm, pinning it down, before her fingers start getting crushed. This is bad. The next episode starts, and it turns out Jolyne's fingers aren't getting crushed. They're getting turned inside out. Jolyne and Emporio are hella confused, but eventually figure out that Sea Moon's attack turns whatever it touches inside out. Realizing they can't fight while taking care of Emporio, Jolyne tosses him to Anasui before beginning her fight again. Jolyne manages to use Sea Moon's ability to fix her hand and leg, and continue duking it out with it. That's when Sea Moon inverts the booth they're standing on and Jolyne is trapped. Jolyne realizes the priest is nearby. Sea Moon's attacks are too accurate for it to be an auto-tracking stand. Anasui tries ambushing Sea Moon, but it just smacks him, sending him falling down. Jolyne grabs Anasui with her thread and then extends it around Sea Moon's neck, trapping him in place. She wants to hold him in place and finish him off, but Sea Moon grabs her thread and starts inverting it. We get a glimpse of the army trying to get to the Space Center, but failing miserably. Before we get back into the battle, Jolyne closes in on Sea Moon, who manages to stand up and grab the rest of her thread. Since Jolyne is in danger, Anasui uses Diver Down to take that damage, giving Jolyne a chance to take Sea Moon down. What a straight up Chad. So Jolyne uses Stone Free to punch Sea Moon, but her punch bounces right off of it. That's when Pucci shows up behind her. Jolyne tries hitting him, but her punch bounces off his head too. That's when she starts floating in the air, and that is because Pucci is the center of gravity. Wherever he stands, gravity is inverted. With Jolyne compromised, Sea Moon punches Jolyne's chest, inverting her heart. Pucci walks off satisfied, as Emporio and Anasui mourn Jolyne. That's when Emporio gets a message on his phone. It's from Jotaro. He tells her Jolyne is still alive, and that he needs to buy time till he gets there.
Anastasia, you gotta find Jolyne!
I think that Jolyne is still alive!
Realizing Jolyne is alive, the episode ends as Pucci makes a run for it, and Anasui chases after him. The next episode starts with Pucci on the run, trying to find and end Jolyne. That's when he gets ambushed by Anasui, who manages to get a cut on Pucci, but Pucci just uses his gravity to corner Anasui and is about to smash his face in until he feels Jolyne's hand on his face. He immediately chases her blood trails into a room and sets it on fire to lure her out. That's when Jolyne's hands pop out of a vent and grab Pucci's legs. He hits them with Sea Moon, saying her arms are useless now. But that's when Jolyne does something crazy. She turns her threads into an infinity sign, moving at rapid speeds. Since it's a shape that can't be inverted, Jolyne takes no damage. That strategy only has one weakness. If Pucci hits her head, she'll be done for. So, he starts walking around the room, changing the center of gravity with each step, waiting for his perfect moment to attack. His perfect moment arrives when a guard falls through the window. Pucci grabs the guard's gun and fires at Jolyne. The bullets are flying right at Jolyne's face, and she has no chance to stop them. But she doesn't have to, because that's when time itself stops.
Move, Jolyne!
That's right, baby! Jotaro is back! He moves Jolyne out of the bullet's trajectory before smacking Pucci through the door. Ermes shows up too. The whole gang is together now, but Pucci says he understands what he has to do now. He is not gonna wait for the new moon. Pucci is gonna fly up into the sky and find the spot with the same gravity as the new moon to complete his transformation. Oh no! Jotaro shares a wholesome moment with Jolyne, telling her she's grown. He then tells Ermes to use the gun to shoot Pucci in the air. When Ermes does, Jotaro stops time and throws a harpoon at Pucci. When he deflects the bullets, the harpoon will hit him and kill him. But just before time resumes, Pucci's eyes move, and when time resumes, Pucci manages to dodge it. He climbs onto the exhibition space shuttle, and the episode ends with him unlocking his new power. No! The next episode starts with Pucci radiating with light, saying Sea Moon is no longer his stand. Anasui manages to make it onto the shuttle and attacks Pucci, only for his hand to start glowing with light, and something pops out of it. The light suddenly burns super bright, and everyone wakes up. They're about 200 meters from where they were a few minutes ago, and they can't tell where Pucci is. That's when it starts raining, but the rain suddenly stops, and everyone is soaking wet. Ermes' foot gets caught in an automatic door, which moves at an insane speed, before Jotaro realizes he's not wet anymore. A rock is about to fall on Ermes' head, and Anasui goes to stop it, but by the time he gets there, the rock has already hit Ermes. What the hell is going on? That's when Jolyne realizes something. The sun is already setting. Ice cream melting, baseball pitches, car crashes, everything starts happening super fast. Jotaro looks at his watch and realizes what's happening. Time is moving at an accelerated speed. Suddenly, it's nighttime, and Jotaro says this is bad. That's when they see Pucci, but barely. He's zooming around them, coming closer. Jotaro stops time and catches a glimpse of him, but even his time stop is shortened, and Pucci closes in on them. They all get to higher ground, with Anasui pulling Jotaro up at the last second. Phew! Up on the roof, Anasui asks for Jotaro's blessing to marry Jolyne. Great timing, my guy! Jotaro just tells him to shut up.
Are you insane? Look where we are.
And that's when Jolyne surrounds them with her threads, telling them to stay close. Jotaro says that even though Pucci is faster than them, they can at least see him, so everyone needs to stay on their toes. That's when he sees Pucci moving under a table and he stops time, but when he looks, he can't find Pucci anywhere. Jotaro is about to restart time when he sees Pucci. The damn priest is about to use a palm tree as a catapult. Jotaro tries hitting him when time resumes, but Pucci's too fast, and Jotaro's neck gets sliced. As Jotaro falls down, Jolyne moves toward him, and Pucci tries attacking. That's when Jotaro stops time and reveals that Anasui used Diver Down to take most of the damage for Jotaro, saving his life. He pulls Jolyne and Ermes out of harm's way and says they only have one shot at victory. He needs to stop time when Pucci is in Star Platinum's range. When time restarts, Pucci is standing in front of everyone with his new stand made in heaven. Its power, as you might have guessed, is accelerating time, and using that accelerated time to move at impossibly fast speeds. That's terrifying. He tells them that he's going to use his stand to save humanity, but he's going to take them out first. Well, this has gone to shit, hasn't it? The second to last episode of Part 6 opens with Pucci saying that he wants peace and prosperity for humanity, and that the Joestars are a big no-no for him, so he's going to take them out. Emporio shoots his gun and misses, but he wasn't shooting at Pucci. Ermes duplicated the bullet with her sticker, and the group uses it to gain distance from Pucci. The only problem with that is Pucci is super fast and he catches up to them. That's when Anasui tells Emporio to move them toward the ocean. He has a plan. Basically, Anasui submerges his diver down inside everyone. That way, when Pucci attacks any of them, he'll feel the damage and send a signal to Jotaro. And that's when Jotaro will stop time and finish off Pucci. Emporio says he's crazy. Pucci's attack is gonna kill him, but Anasui says it's worth it. If it works, he can ask Jolyne to marry him. And Jolyne says he should ask her to marry him when it's all done. With that, the group lands in the water, ready to take on Pucci. In the ocean, they can see where he's attacking from because of the water moving. Jolyne and Ermes bring their stands out and are ready to fight, when they realize time is moving even faster than before. Still, Anasui tells Jotaro to hold until the attack comes, and the attack does come, with a hand burst straight through Anasui's chest. Jotaro stops time and grabs the arm, only to realize he's holding stone free. Pucci used Jolyne's stand to attack Anasui. Jotaro was one step behind. Still, Jotaro has enough time to kill Pucci, so he makes his way over to the evil priest, and that's when he sees it. Pucci threw a bunch of knives, and they're going straight towards Jolyne. Enrico Pucci is the first man to ever make Jotaro Cujoh scream in fear, which is super insane if you ask me. With no other choice, he pushes Jolyne out of harm's way and tries to attack Pucci, but time has already resumed, and Pucci shows up behind Jotaro, saying the Joestar was actually 2 steps behind this time around. Oh god, please no! Ermes tries attacking Pucci, but it's no use. Their plan has failed. Pucci cuts down Ermes before slicing Jotaro's face. And if that image looks familiar, it's because it looks like the Death Boingos comic had predicted for Jotaro all those years ago. Jolyne looks at her father and calls out to him, and in his final breaths, Jotaro calls out to his daughter. And with that, Jotaro Cujoh, the undisputed #1 JoJo, has finally been defeated. And I will not stop crying. Rest in peace, Jotaro. You're the GOAT. What's more, one of Pucci's knives managed to pierce Jolyne. She's bleeding out. That means the only loose end left for Pucci is Emporio. Pucci then tells Emporio he killed his mother, and Emporio just cries and tries shooting him. When he's out of bullets, Pucci moves in to kill the baseball kid, only for him to start getting dragged away. That's when a knife flies out of the water and hits Pucci. It was Jolyne. She managed to tie her thread to a dolphin, and she grabbed Emporio too. Unfortunately, she's bleeding out and can't go on, so she tells Emporio to get to safety and finish what they started. She then cuts the thread to face Pucci and goes down like every JoJo should, in the glory of battle. What an absolute badass. That was Jotaro's daughter, alright. As Emporio rides away on the dolphin, time begins accelerating even faster, to the point where the sun is just a streak in the sky. Stuff keeps eroding, and land formations keep changing. Emporio's clothes wither away too, and time keeps moving until they make it to the end of the universe, where only living beings exist. Suddenly, there's a flash of light, and Emporio wakes up holding a trash can. His clothes are on the floor next to him, and that's when he realizes where he is. Emporio's next to the visitation room at Green Dolphin State Prison, where it all began. What? The final episode of Part 6 opens with Emporio hearing a familiar sound. Jotaro and Jolyne arguing in the visitation room, but when he goes to see them, he realizes that they're not Jotaro and Jolyne, they're just similar. Emporio asks what year they're in, and a voice tells him it's 2011. That's when Dio's boyfriend walks in. It's Pucci. He tells Emporio what happened. A new universe was created, free from the Joestars and his enemies. Now, the only person left to eliminate is Emporio. In the confusion, the fake Jolyne and Jotaro make a run for it, just like they did in the original universe. Pucci tells Emporio fate is predetermined, and that Emporio is gonna try to escape to his secret room. Emporio screams in horror and tries to get away from Pucci, but the question remains, why did Pucci do this? Lucky for us, Dio's boyfriend likes to talk a lot, and he explains it. Basically, everyone that experienced the old universe now intuitively knows what's going to happen in their future, who they're going to meet, when wars are going to happen, when they're going to die. Pucci says some people would call this knowledge a curse, but he thinks it's a blessing. According to him, knowing what happens in the future is a blessing, and it will save humanity. Emporio desperately tries to get away from his secret room, only to step on a broom that hits him in the face, sending him in front of the secret entrance. Pucci says that, although some details may change, fate cannot be averted. He needs to kill Emporio to remove all his enemies, so he can speed up time and start a new universe free of all obstacles. This universe is just a stepping stone. Once he's defeated Emporio, he can start over the universe again and help humans achieve heaven. So he punches Emporio as he jumps into the secret room, only for Emporio to put a disc in his head. And that disc is Weather Report's stand disc. Now, with Weather Report in his control, Emporio pulls a big brain move and fills the room with pure oxygen. It stops Pucci from moving and makes his eyes bleed. The priest is trapped. Let's go! Pucci begs Emporio to let him go. He says humanity's happiness is at stake, but Emporio says fate has decided Pucci is gonna lose. And it's not just Emporio that's defeating him, it's the wills of Ermes, FF, Anasui, Weather, Jotaro, and Jolyne that have defeated him. With that, he unleashes the greatest beatdown in all of JoJo, punching Pucci into oblivion and resetting the universe. And when he wakes up, Emporio is standing at a gas station outside Green Dolphin Street Prison. Before he can make sense of what's happening, a bus stops in front of him, and he hears a familiar voice arguing inside. That's when he sees her. It's Ermes. She gets tossed from the bus and has nowhere to go. That's when a familiar man steps out of a nearby car, saying he'll give Ermes a lift. It's Anasui, and inside the car is his girlfriend, who's none other than Jolyne. They all have different names now and have no memories of stands or whatever, but they're the same people. It starts raining, and Ermes agrees to ride with them.
You doing okay there, little boy?
Jolyne tells Emporio to join them and gives her his jacket. She then asks Emporio his name, and through tears of disbelief and joy, he says his name is Emporio. They begin their ride, and that's when they see another hitchhiker, and he looks a lot like Weather Report. They stop to let him get on, as the classic To Be Continued music plays. And just like that, part 6 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, as well as the original continuity, comes to an end. And what a journey it was. And that was our recap of JoJo's Part 6. Though people criticized it on release, I think it's an absolutely brilliant way to cap off one of the most influential series of all time. But what do you think of Part 6? Let us know in the comments below. Before peacing out though, I want to thank you all for watching all 6 parts of JoJo with us. It's been an absolute treat to recap this bizarre family and their shenanigans with you. Can't believe we're already here, saying goodbye. Alright, have a great day, and as always, I will see you next time.